Picture this. Ancient India, over 2,500 years ago, a time of sprawling forests, wandering ascetics, and rising kingdoms. In this vibrant landscape, a young prince ascends the throne at the tender age of 15. His name is Bimbisara, and he's not just any ruler. He is the architect of an empire, a man whose vision will lay the foundation for one of the most powerful dynasties in Indian history, the Mauryan Empire. But this isn't just a story of conquest and power. It's a tale of shrewd diplomacy, of a king who built his empire not just with swords, but with strategic marriages. It's the story of a ruler who walked with giants, a contemporary and patron of both Mahavira, the founder of Jainism, and Gautama Buddha himself. Imagine the conversations, the philosophical debates, the spiritual energy that must have filled the air in his capital city. How did a 15-year-old boy transform a small kingdom into the mighty Magadhan Empire? How did he navigate the complex web of alliances and rivalries with powerful neighbors? And what was the tragic, almost Shakespearean, end to his glorious reign? Stay with me as we journey back to the 6th century BCE to uncover the incredible life and legacy of King Bimbisara, the true founder of the Magadhan Empire. Bimbisara was born in the year 558 BCE. His father, Bhattiya, was a minor chieftain of the Haryanka dynasty, ruling a small but strategically located territory called Magadha. From a young age, it was clear that Bimbisara possessed a sharp intellect and a keen understanding of strategy. When he took the throne in 543 BCE, at just 15, the odds were stacked against him. Magadha was surrounded by powerful states like Kosala, Avanti, and the Vaginian Confederacy. A single misstep could have meant the end of his kingdom. But Bimbisara was a master strategist. He knew that military might alone wasn't enough. His first major move was a brilliant act of diplomacy. He sought a marriage alliance with the powerful kingdom of Kosala. In approximately 535 BCE, he married Kosala Devi, the sister of King. This wasn't just a marriage, it was a master strategy. As part of the dowry, Bimbisara received the territory of Kashi, a city renowned for its immense wealth and trade, generating a revenue of 100,000 coins. This alliance not only brought him riches, but also secured his northern border, neutralizing a major threat and turning a rival into a powerful friend. With his northern flank secure, Bimbisara turned his attention to the east. The kingdom of Anga, with its capital at Champa, was a long-standing rival of Magadha. Unlike his approach with Kosala, here Bimbisara chose the path of conquest. Around 530 BCE, he launched a decisive military campaign against Anga's king. After a swift and successful war, he annexed the kingdom. This victory was crucial. It gave Magadha control over the vital river trade routes of the Ganges Delta, opening up maritime trade to the Bay of Bengal and Southeast Asia. To consolidate his rule, he appointed his son, Ajatashatru, as the governor of Champa. Bimbisara's diplomatic web continued to expand. He knew that alliances were his greatest strength. He married Salana, a princess from the influential Lichavi clan of Vaishali, a key member of the Vajjian Confederacy. This marriage helped to pacify his northeastern frontier. He also married Kima, a princess from the Madra clan of Punjab, extending his influence far to the northwest. Through these three principal queens and numerous other alliances, Bimbisara created a network of friendships that protected his kingdom and allowed it to prosper. It's said he had 500 wives, a number that likely symbolizes the vast network of political alliances he forged across the subcontinent. Bimbisara was not just a conqueror and a diplomat. He was also a remarkable administrator. He is credited with building the city of Rajagriha. The city was a fortress, protected by 5 massive hills, a natural defense that made it almost impregnable. He built roads, encouraged trade, and established an efficient system of governance. His administration was so effective that villages were managed by headmen, called gramakas, who had the authority to manage local affairs. He had a strong system of ministers who advised him on military, judicial, and executive matters. This stable and efficient administration was the backbone of Magadha's growing power. Perhaps one of the most fascinating aspects of Bimbisara's reign was his relationship with the great spiritual leaders of his time. The 6th century BCE was a period of immense intellectual and spiritual ferment in India. Two of its brightest lights, Mahavira and Gautama Buddha, were his contemporaries. Jain texts describe Bimbisara as a patron of Mahavira, showing him great respect. However, his connection with the Buddha is even more profound. Buddhist scriptures tell the story of their first meeting. Before his enlightenment, the ascetic Gautama visited Rajagriha. Bimbisara, impressed by his serene and majestic presence, met him and offered him wealth and a position in his army. Gautama politely declined, explaining his quest for truth. Bimbisara, moved by his resolve, requested that once Gautama achieved enlightenment, he should return to Rajagriha to share his teachings. True to his word, after becoming the Buddha, he returned. Around 528 BCE, the Buddha arrived in Bimbisara, along with a huge procession of his subjects, went to meet him. It was a momentous occasion. The king became one of the Buddha's most devoted lay followers. He donated the Velavana, or the Bamboo Grove Monastery, to the Buddha and his son. This was the very first Buddhist monastery, a serene park where the Buddha spent many rainy seasons, delivering some of his most important sermons. Bimbisara's patronage was instrumental in providing a secure base for the early Buddhist community, allowing the new faith to flourish. For nearly 5 decades, Bimbisara ruled with wisdom and foresight. He had transformed a minor chiefdom into a formidable empire, established peace through clever diplomacy, and fostered an environment where new ideas and philosophies could thrive. His reign, from 543 BCE to 491 BCE, was a golden age for Magadha, but a shadow was growing within his own palace, a shadow that would lead to a dark and tragic end. This shadow was his own son, Ajatashatru. While Bimbisara was a man of peace and diplomacy, Ajatashatru was ambitious and impatient. He was goaded by Devadatta, the Buddha's jealous cousin, who wished to usurp the Buddha's position and saw Ajatashatru as a means to power. Devadatta convinced the young prince that his father was an obstacle to his greatness. Blinded by ambition and manipulated by Devadatta, Ajatashatru made his move. In the year 491 BCE, he staged a coup. He imprisoned his own father, the great King Bimbisara, who had ruled for 52 glorious years. The details of Bimbisara's final days are heartbreaking. Different traditions offer slightly different accounts. The Buddhist version tells that Ajatashatru starved his father to death in prison. It's said that, from his cell, Bimbisara could see Vulture's Peak, a place where the Buddha often taught, and he found solace in gazing at it until his last breath. The Jain tradition tells an even more poignant story. It says, Ajatashatru imprisoned Bimbisara and would personally whip him every day. One day, Ajatashatru's mother told him of the immense love Bimbisara had for him as a child. The king had once even sucked a swollen, pus-filled finger to relieve his infant son's pain. Hearing this, a wave of remorse washed over Ajat. He grabbed an axe and rushed to the prison to break his father's chains and beg for forgiveness. But Bimbisara, seeing his son running towards him with an axe, misunderstood his intention. Fearing a violent death at his own son's hands, the old king took poison and ended his own life. Regardless of the exact details, the end was the same. In 491 BCE, Bimbisara, the builder of the Magadhan Empire, died a prisoner, betrayed by the very son he had groomed for the throne. His death marked the end of an era. The age of diplomacy and patronage gave way to an age of ruthless ambition under Ajatashatru, who would go on to wage devastating wars against his neighbors, including his own uncle, King Prasanagit of Kosala. Bimbisara's legacy, however, endured. He had laid an unshakable foundation. The administrative structure he created, the economic prosperity and the territorial expansion he initiated all paved the way for Magadha's future dominance. The empire he founded would continue to grow under his successors, culminating in the vast Mauryan Empire under Chandragupta and Ashoka the Great. So, the next time you hear about the mighty Mauryan Empire, remember the king who started it all. Remember Bimbisara, the boy king, the master diplomat, the patron of saints, and the tragic father. His story is a powerful reminder that empires are built not just with armies, but with wisdom, foresight, and alliances, and that even the greatest of kings can fall victim to the darkest of human emotions. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into the past. If you enjoyed this story, please hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe for more tales from history. Let me know in the comments which historical figure you'd like to explore next. Until then, stay curious.